Yeah, so the communique is out. Pretty much, yes, part of diplomacy, part of peace, but also we are keeping a standing troop aside. And that was also sent a very strong signal to the Nigerian coupists, because there was a message that came out yesterday that they were threatening also to kill Mr. Bazoum in the case where they invade the country. For me, I see that as one, yes, a threat, but two, it's an indication that the coupists are also feeling the pressure. For them to be able to put out a rash measure like that in strategy, that means they are feeling the pressure. What we can also do, since we've opened the channel of conversation and communication through that cultural means, which can also be said sort of like, interpersonal relationship, be it soft power, be it anything, let us improve on that to be able to talk to these people. Because when you look at it, based on what is on ground, I don't see these coup plotters having that acceptance of the people for a long time. The bellwether for any country is the economy. The Nigerian economy obviously is starting to falter. And if that happens, then definitely the people will start to ask questions from their governments. So the people's support will definitely whittle out at some point. Then the question is, can diplomacy come in? The troops on standby, not necessarily putting those troops in, but it shows that they are feeling the heat. So the question is, what can we quickly do? I think it's also good to be able to explore that channel even further, Emir Sanusi's channel. So how quick can we also get a government, Nigerian government, probably now then an ECOWAS rep team, emissary, to also meet with these people? What would be the cards on the table? The scenario on the table is these leaders are already digging in, they're consolidating. Best case scenario now is a transition. I think the possibility of Bazoum coming back is very slim. The odds very low. Let's not deceive ourselves. Can we talk to these people about a 1-2 year transition down the line, then call back for democracy? And they will make their demands. Probably one of their demands will be they don't want Bazoum to run in the elections, or they want him to run in elections. Also, explore other paths, because there are other political angles to all of this. One, the CRR rebel group that has a very strong foothold in the north. Also, you need to involve them in a conversation like this, because with this threat that they might kill Bazoum, that might intensify efforts. Only God knows who is using them. Intensify efforts, talk to all of them. Also, the past leaders. So feel like the ambassador mentioned yesterday, and some other people that have strategic interest there. Make the conversation spread across board, and then keep the sanctions in place. Once that sanction kick in and they lose the respect of the people and they lose the support of the people, then it becomes an easier conversation, and then be realistic about it. I don't think Bazoum will be coming back anytime soon. So let's look at it that way, and let's say a panzer, but let military option be out of the cards. Yeah, we can keep a troop at standby, which I think is also a negotiation strategy, which I think is to bring in that air of, if you do otherwise, we might invade. But I don't think we'll be using that. Let's keep that aside as a negotiation strategy, and let's keep the heat on those guys, and they'll walk. Just some strategy put it out there.
No say we talk say the ECOWAS, say they go meet yesterday and decide what they want to do for Niger, and they don't meet, and the things still there as they see stand the ground, see them go and they go deploy military for that country, in which well, it's not about their decisions. The most question that Nigerians are asking, if we are ready for such thing, if we are ready to go through that route, and in the case whereby we find ourselves for that corner, are we well equipped in terms of resources, in terms of money, to be able to go through that process? What impact will that thing be? What impact will it take? So will that decision impose in the lives of citizens of Nigeria? How is it going to affect our lives, our economy, and everything? So those are the questions that Nigerians are asking, because we don't suffer. Nigeria don't suffer. Nigeria don't suffer. They don't suffer. And now we won't have another kind of the kind of sound we say we not see for a long time. We won't had it for people's Gary, and that's the question that people are asking. That's the concern of people are having. And also, we understand, we get it that in order to set the record straight, the ECOWAS, they have to really hit this hard. They have to stand their ground. They have to be sure that at least they send the right message and they put democracy in order in Africa, whereby we don't see any other ugly head just come up say we want to take over. And of course, as many Nigerians on talking, even this kind of thing must stand for Oga Tinubu to also believe in government safe. They believe in government safe, say no shaking, nothing. You don't go now go and come back, come discover say some military they don't carry power. So a lot of things just stay ground like that, and we are watching, we're keeping our eyes. We don't know when they will deploy the military to Niger. We don't know when they didn't state it, but we are waiting, and hopefully we see what comes out of there, because the Niger coup is they're not even backing down. They're not backing down. The more you remember yesterday, they're already forming their own government. So, and they hold the president, they hold him, they hold him in hostage, and possibly I hope what we are talking is not what we are still going to be talking when they deploy military into that region. Maybe, I hope they won't resort into acting like a terrorist. Let's keep our eyes open. Let's see what happens. Let's see what the international bodies will do. And let's continue to watch as news continue to come from that side. And we see what our Oga Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the ECOWAS will do. Thank you so much for watching. Again, my name is David Distress. Till I come your way next time, please continue to watch ONIF TV. Please continue to watch ONIF TV, continue to like our page, continue to make your comments known, and don't you forget that, hey, you are the best, and you deserve the best, you deserve to live, and you deserve to be wherever you want to be in life, what God wants you to be in life. So don't give up, don't give up. God is with you, God is your strength. Thank you so much for watching. I bet Muna share this, share. As ECOWAS, they finally done talk, say, forget it. We know they take nonsense, we know they take any rubbish. We want to make sure, say, this kind of thing, they happen for another country or another African nation. They happen at all. Forget it. We know go take nonsense, especially for this Nigeria. No, they happen at all. They happen. Forget it. So we want to make sure, say, we stand upon the word where we say we don't talk, say, we deploy our military.
Well, I think beyond Katsina, there are other states and people who have already begun to pray. If you hear the word on the street, a number of people are quite anxious, and that's why there's quite an interest in what's going on in Niger and ECOWAS's response to Niger, particularly as our President Bola Tinubu is chair of ECOWAS currently. Not just the northern states that border Niger are concerned, because we have talked about the ripple effect even across Nigeria, and the big question had been, can Nigeria afford to lead a war if ECOWAS decides to apply military force in Niger? So a number of things are at stake, and that's where the challenge or the issues are. Yesterday, the second extraordinary summit by heads of government in the ECOWAS bloc met. As has been mentioned, a number of countries were present with some observers or those in attendance, but very instructive was that there was no representation from Mali, or the president of Mali and Burkina Faso were not there, they were not present, and they had already established where they stand in the Niger conflict, that if there's military force intervention in Niger, they would count it as action against them as well, aggression against them as well. Now, talking about a number of things being at stake and why ECOWAS will still come out saying that all options are still on the table, including the use of military force if the Niger coupists do not transition back to democratic government, and as part of their request is that the President Bazoum is restored as president. As Rufai mentioned, I quite align with that. The coupists seem to be moving along. They've appointed a prime minister who is civilian, that's worthy of note, and also a government, an interim cabinet to run the affairs of the nation. Now, one of the reasons why ECOWAS might be loath to back down on their announcement of intervention, of military intervention, is that it would make them look weak. And that's something they don't or they cannot afford to do at this point. And that's why a big question was, the deadline expired on the 6th of August. What will the ECOWAS bloc do? What will be the decision? A number of analysts had already said that it's very unlikely that they would go back on their word, on their decision to apply military intervention. And we saw that play out yesterday. Even though they didn't say when or give the timeline that when diplomacy will elapse or dialogue will elapse, they've said that all on the table, and their chiefs of defense had met and they had marshaled out a plan. The question that must be answered is, how long are they giving the Niger coupists before they then apply military force. They didn't say. They just say they will continue speaking, and then as a last resort, they will apply a military force. That's one. The second thing is that one of the reasons why they cannot allow the Niger coupists to hold the upper hand and must show themselves to be strong as a united front and against the coup is that it's a threat to democracy in the West African bloc. We've talked about the spate of coups in West Africa in the last 3 years. Niger is one too many, and it sends a strong signal to other countries perhaps in this particular region who might be thinking or might be plotting in terms of their military to overthrow a government because of dissatisfaction. If this Niger coup is not properly handled, it sends a strong signal to not just Nigerian and Mali and Burkinabes, but to Nigeria and other West African countries who might be perhaps thinking of going along this route. So the ECOWAS bloc has a tough decision ahead of them, or a tough stance ahead of them. But one thing is clear, they are not backing down. And another thing is clear, the Niger coupists don't seem to want to dialogue. In fact, a source has said that they had asked that the sanctions be taken off. That is where they've frozen accounts, they block borders, the airspace, because they are not able to get medicine, medical supplies and food supplies. So it is biting hard. But so far, they don't seem to be capitulating, and that's the big question here. It's now ECOWAS versus Niger. ECOWAS does not want to look weak. The heads of government do not want to look like they give an order and they are backing down. And then they also need to send a strong message to other countries that this will not be accepted and democracy must be protected at all costs. The final question to be asked is, who is going to fund this military intervention, and what percentage of support will other countries contribute? We've talked about the Nigerian factor and how much, and the fact that Nigeria is a superpower on this block and will perhaps contribute by 80% in terms of military might and resources. What will the other countries contribute? Has this conversation been had? These are the concerns for Nigerians, the effect on our nation if we do ultimately go to war with Niger, or ECOWAS goes to war with Niger.
Now the question is, now would they pay for those military where they go? Now would that thing go affect much? Say now Nigeria or some other African country or the United Nations and every one of them, they go have input on top of this thing, or now Nigeria go carry weights. We go now, some of us our neck, and no, not be my neck, some people's neck gonna be like this. Gonna be like this, neck we don't be like this, we're gonna go up. May God help us, may God deliver us, and may God save us from every rumor of war. Rumor of war. That's what the Bible says we're going to see in the last day. Rumors of war. We're going to see war, they come, war, they come. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. God bless you. Do share this video.